Hello, this is OCP Live. Hey, this week, Bobby Cleveland had surgery on his knee. He's taking pain meds. He's out of his head. You can't keep him awake. So we decided to bring on a guest that we've been wanting to have on for a little while anyways. So, Cecil, have you been on here before?
I believe one time I was with you.
We've lost Cecil. What's going
Silence
on?
that call real
There
fast.
he is. Hey, for just so people
I'm
know
out.
who
I
you
can't
are
hear
and what your background is, Cecil, how about just telling us who you are and what experience you have with the Department of Corrections?
Moto, what do I need to do?
Well, I think he's off. So guys, while we're getting him back on, Cecil has been a correctional officer. He has lots of experience. He has been very active in OCP. He's now a retired member, and he's been very active, and that's why we wanted him on here, because he's continued to be involved in DOC. So, Cecil, are you back with us?
I think so. I had a phone call that threw me off. I'm sorry.
You're doing yours off your phone. I do mine. So let's tell our guests that my internet's down while we're doing it off of our phone for me. And so if I do get a call, I have to get that call off. And so it may just go off a minute, but
Yes,
that's what we're stuck with today, with doing them off the phones. And so
I'm at work, so I just broke loose.
Yeah, it works. It works. Hey, Cecil, if you would tell people who you are and what's your experience with the Department of Corrections.
Okay, JJ. For those who don't know, my name is Cecil Dooley. I hired on with the Department of Corrections in September of '99. Spent 9 years at Bill Johnson. Worked my way up through the ranks, drill instructor, assistant supervisors. 2008, I transferred to Joseph Hart Correctional Center, promoted up through the ranks of captain. Spent a little bit of time at Union City Correctional Center. Was going to transfer as a chief, and then they shut the work centers down. So I spent most of my career behind the fence in a medium max mental health facility, where I tried every day to affect positive change on both inmates and staff members.
Awesome. Man, so you got a lot of experience. And I know that because me and you talk quite a bit, and I know what your experience and that you understand prisons very, very well. And one of the things that I've been impressed about you, Cecil, is even after you left, you haven't turned your back on DOC. You've been very interested in what's going on with the employees and with the department. And so you've been one of the few people who have paid as a retired employee. You continue to pay your dues to OCP and remained a member, correct?
Yes, sir. I have never missed a payment or a due. In fact, I was a double paying due member for a long time. Let's see here, the Oklahoma Public Employee. What is that group? OPERS?
Yeah. OPEA. Yeah.
OPEA. Thank you, JJ. When they tried to shut us down for the membership, was paying dues out of voluntary payroll deduction, and I also pay on the PayPal system on the OCP website.
Yeah, in fact, because of what you're doing, I started following suit and started paying a retired due. And so, again, I'm now a member, so, Cecil, one of the things that I wanted to talk about with you today is the fact that what you're doing to not just set back, but getting involved in the board. And one of the things that we're trying to do, and I want to tell people many discussions that me and Cecil and others have had of why you think that it's a good idea to let the retired members serve on some spots. We need to have active members, but I think that it's a good idea to have a mixture of both retired members and active members on the board. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, experience is experience, JJ. We may not be tied into what the current systems are, but that could be remedied really easy. if you have retirees and current employees working together, we could come up with different avenues. If policies and stuff change, the old, you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. And unfortunately, when you've got a current administration who's trying to make so many changes, merit rule, the payroll, there's the hiring process, the academies. There's so many things changing, but basic corrections 101 information does never changes. And I think when you always have a basis to fall back on, you always have experience to fall back on. And I think that would be a huge tool to allow. At one point, I hope that OCP is able to work with the director's office to try to affect some of these positive changes that we need to happen.
And that's happened in the past. Cecil, that's been a big deal in the past. We've been able to drop, in the prior administration, we dropped the number of lawsuits that we had against the Department of Corrections. We actually saved OCP money, and we actually saved the department money, and we were able to really function back and forth really well. We've been able to obtain raises. We've been able to obtain uniforms. We got the captain's pay. So again, I can just tell you under the current administration, and guess what? It wasn't all smooth, and there was times that Director Cole was really mad at Bob. There's times that he was really mad at me. Most of the time, he was mad at one or the other of us, so it kind of worked pretty well. Occasionally, we all got along, and occasionally, we were all fighting, but it all would work out, and we could all sit down and talk to get things worked out. We were trying. This is what I'll say about the Director Crow, and I believe this. Director Crow did care about his employees, and he did care about the Department of Corrections. I think that he was working, trying to go forward. We didn't always agree. But
I'll go one step further than that, JJ. I think that Director Hart cares. I think he wants to do best for the employees. I just think without an avenue to discuss things that need to be discussed, such as for OCP, if we've got people who are not capable of going forward or not able to do so because of fear of retaliation or something else, then I think OCP is absolutely that voice, and we should all be able to be adults and work with them. We shouldn't be afraid of one organization or another having too much power or whatever else. I say that tongue in cheek, JJ.
No,
I think
listen,
checks and balances.
There's a reason why I'm advocating like people to be on this board, because while you have your opinion, I have my opinion that he is a self-absorbed person that only cares about himself, and that he walked in and said, I'm not going to deal with OCP, and that we're going to shut OCP down. And again, that says a lot to me about, what he cares about his employees, because this is not a union. This is an employee association that represents his employees, and a large part of his employees. And so for him to do that, and then he turned around after saying he wouldn't deal with us, then he turned around and started dealing with Scott, which is, again, it shows you an intent to try to sabotage this organization. And, but here's the deal, Cecil. That's why I want to advocate for you to be on the board, others be on the board. People who have not, I tell the governor all the time when we're talking about the tribal thing, he's done made the tribe so mad he'll never be able to sit down and have a negotiation, a conversation, I don't think. And I believe that me and Stephen Harp have reached that deal to where I've lost total respect for him. I know he probably hates my guts, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. But we need people like you who can at least show an olive branch. And if he wants to slap you back with that olive branch, it's us putting the good foot out. And that's what I want. I want somebody else to be able to go out there But here's the deal: Scott portrayed like he was going out there putting a good foot out. But what Scott was doing was going over and meeting with him and discussing. I believe this, Cecil. I believe Scott was trying to work with the director to sabotage OCP. And I will tell you, Cecil, that they did do a lot of harm to this organization. And you know, Cecil, like you're retired, but you care about the employees, and you're doing stuff like today, being on here. And I know you were working and stuff, took time to be on here, and you care about the employees. If Scott cared about this association, he wouldn't be trying to get us in a lawsuit. So that the listeners know, Scott has hijacked a bunch of our information that we have to run OCP. And what his logic is that under Title 18, now catch this, Scott somewhere went to law school while he's working over there at Clearwaters or wherever he works. And I think he's went to possibly Harper. I don't know where he's at. But he went to law school, so he's went through this entire, go pull Title 18 up. It's going to be rather large. When you look at these titles, there's massive laws under. So it'll be Title 18, section this, section this, section this, section A, B, C, D, section, next A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and that will be all the way through. It's very, very difficult to know all this. So he's went into this title and he's come up with why that if that we didn't have a duly elected board, that it's an illegal board. Well, if we don't have an elected board, whose fault is that?
I would say it's his for abandoning his post.
He's even post,
and he's even admitted through when I have asked for those specific information out of Title 18 on the public forum on the OCP page that he set forward. I've asked for that information, and it's like a game. He put on his post that the founding fathers of OCP, the board that he is supposed to be the president of, the founding fathers did not put anything in for a mass exodus, his words. So it's like he's playing games, and he's intentionally set all this up, trying to put this big puzzle together, quoting Title 18, even though I've read Title 18. I've read it. I've read through it. I've looked for the specific verbiage that he's talking about. Can't find it. I'm not a lawyer. I've had friends who are lawyers for many different things to look at it, and we can't seem to find anything.
Well, we've got Cecil, we've got a lawyer looking at it, and again, right. It's but the deal is, if you cared about OCP, you wouldn't be trying to sabotage it. And here's the deal: he's been president. Why didn't he have a bona fide election? Why didn't he set up meetings where we would get the participation of the membership, so that you would have at a certain place at a certain time where people would know, and you wouldn't set them at faraway places at 8:00 on Tuesday morning when nobody can come, and you do that on purpose. And again, you haven't had an election, so you weren't put in there. You were appointed. You went past the period of time that even if you were elected, you should go. You never tried to hold an actual election as you should. You appointed board, so you broke every rule. Broke everything, and now you're going to try to close OCP because you went and looked some law up that you say, and you're not an attorney, you say. And again, now you hijack everything, as well as we had OCP live going, and that we were getting members, we were getting views, 2,000 views a week, and he shut that down. Why would you would you not agree, Cecil, that was if you're interested in membership and you're interested in telling the people what's going on, would you not agree that's a bad move?
I would agree, and in fact, when I became more vocal and more active about a year and a half ago, just over a year ago at the meeting in McAllister, I voiced that opinion, and I told Scott then I said, we need to change some things. What we're doing is not working. And I guess that is when he thought that I became his enemy, when in all actuality, I was trying to help. I was trying to.
Hey, Cecil, let's tell the public. Have you ever told me I could act a little more professional on this deal?
Absolutely, Judge. Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So I just want to get it out there. While me and Cecil are good friends and while we agree on a whole lot, and I think our heart is the same for the association, for the members, for the department, for the entire department, whether you're a member or not, our hearts, we bleed DOC. We've given a big chunk of our life to it. That's who we are. And so, but we don't, and again, I want to say, Cecil, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I know I could probably be, it's just me, and that's kind of who I am. But I want everybody to know Cecil is not a person that just walks in here and, oh, JJ. No, he's on numerous occasions told me, hey, you could have done this better. You could have said this better. We need to be somebody trying to reach across the aisle, trying to do this. And Cecil, again, that's why I want to see you step in here and become the person that is doing that. I want to see Lemon step in and try to help. And we want other people who are active stepping in there and being those people who are the voice that maybe can get along with. He says he doesn't want to work with us. I think he got Scott just to sabotage it. I think Scott got punked by the director. And he got, big lights in his eyes because now the director wants to talk to me. Ooh-hoo. And so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott sent you a text saying the director said, don't tell Bobby, but we're going to have a meeting with the director. So that's one of the things that I used to say, the director's controlling Scott because he's telling Scott, hey, cut the director of OCP out. You come and meet with me, and I'm going to tell you what to do. And then everything you've seen after that, and they've had a couple of meetings, everything you've seen after that has been to try to sabotage everything he's done. I don't know. Can you tell me anything you've seen Scott do that would be positive?
It would absolutely appear you are 100% correct. I've reached out to Scott multiple times. I've been accused of harassing him. I've tried. One of his biggest complaints to me personally was that him and Bobby weren't getting communications. So I tried to set something forward. But when I tried to reach out to Scott, Scott would ignore. Scott wouldn't reply. I've got numerous photographs of screenshots that we've had where it's gone days. Now, according to Scott, let me preface. I think adults should be able to come together, have a discussion, regardless of whether they all agree or not, and leave the discussion with a better understanding of where everybody stands.
Right, and Cecil, we do that. I mean, I can sit down with you. You don't always agree with me. I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. I just have a different way of getting things done. But again, we don't always agree on the method, but we'll sit down and talk about it. And at the end, when everybody hears the discussion and the majority of people pick, if we're sitting in there and 7 or 8 people are listening to me and you discuss, and the other 5 or so say, well, we think Cecil's right, we'd like to do it with Cecil. Guess what? I need to go, okay, that's what this is. This is the majority. That's why we have a board. That's why we have membership. We need to hear from the actual membership. And we 100%. Need to provide a way. So one of the things that I know that me and you, and I want people to know that me and you and some others had a discussion on how to set up meetings to where we give announcements way in advance so that people can compare, because we'd like to have you in person. That's how you build relationships. That's how you 100%. Get to know. That's how you become friends. I call Cecil a friend. Guess what? We met a year or so ago, and we've stayed in contact. We've met, not every day, but we talk on the phone. We text. We're on a group text together. And so you build a relationship where you get to know each other, and you depend on each other, and you respect each other's opinion, and you kind of know how people are turned. I'm the crazy cog in the wheel, and we know he's a calm individual that says, hey, let's do it this way, okay?
You talk to any of the guys that work for me, you might get a different story though.
well, it takes all kinds. You know, you need all kinds. We need a balance, and that's how you get the balance. But you get it with respect. You don't get it through. Scott tries to get it through intimidating people, and that's how I believe Director Harp works, is through intimidation, fear, and anybody who disagrees with you, we'll just get rid of you. Scott is, I'll throw a temper tantrum and I'll come up with some BS law that who knows whether it is or ain't. But even if it is, are you working to okay, if there is a law there, do you want to violate the law? See?
No, sir.
No, I don't either. So if there's a law there, then show us what that law is, and we will operate. We will make this thing. We will conform ourselves to the law to make sure that we follow that law. Guess what? He's not telling that. You know, one of the things that really just, I don't know, that agitate me, and Cecil, is kind of where I'm at. If you go after people I really like and care about, that's kind of what got me sideways with Harp. And I'll tell you, that's what got me sideways with Everson real quick. Bobby Cleveland came in. They were broke. They didn't have nothing. Bobby Cleveland filed the first bill. How I got involved in this, Bobby Cleveland filed a bill to get correctional officers a $2 raise. He comes to me and he says, JJ, everybody agrees you're the guy to try to get this done. Me and Bob start working, getting it done, got it done. They hijacked it from us right at the last second, got the wording wrong. We had the wording right, would have took care of everybody. They got it wrong. We had to come back, try to get 400 more on. We did. They hijacked it again away from us, but we got it done. We still got it done. Wasn't my name on the bill. Who cares? You got it done. We went and filed a probation bill to get probation officers. So any of you probation officers listening, we are looking to try to help you as well. And we want you as membership. The more members we have, we want to encourage you to not only join as a member, but become involved and become positively involved. That this becomes an organization, professional, positive. We can make change, and we can influence. We can have a huge influence if we get the numbers and we work this right. But we got that probation pro raise, and we've done so many things positive, and for him to come in and to just accuse Bob of like taking money when they were broke, and they have 3 times the money that we've had. We dropped the number of lawsuits going, but guess what? They're back up. And Cecil, I don't know about, have you been paying attention? I don't know if you and Bob been talking about all of the cases that we're winning for OCP membership, where they get wrongfully fired, terminated, demoted, and we're winning time and time and time again. We just won another one this week, I think. So Mac offered that they had an employee that they just terminated without progressive discipline. And I want to say, me and that person has not always agreed, but I went to that person and told them that. I've sat down with that person. I don't think the person's a bad person. I think that they are entitled to progressive discipline like anybody else. You go about doing it the right way. And again, I think that person's dedicated a large part of their life to DOC, and I think we should, you make a better employee. You know what? She has one. I think this experience is going to make her, I would want her back, because this experience will make her a better supervisor, a better employee, because now she knows what it's like to have things like this done to you. And when you have stuff like that done to you, I think it makes you a better person, not a worse person.
And discipline, and that's what discipline is designed to do. It's designed to take a negative, or to take a person that you want to be a better employee better.
Absolutely.
But it's not, those aren't being followed. And unfortunately, the executive staff right now thinks that they have the ability just to go in and do whatever they want because they're the boss. I'm the bigger guy. I'm going to be the bully, and what I say goes. And unfortunately, that is causing a huge drain on our organization.
Well, Cecil, when you see somebody fired for eating pizza, or you see somebody like this that they don't have anything, the last guy they fired 30 years in, and he didn't respond quick enough to something, they fire him when he's supposed to be doing 3. That's the deal right now. you're doing three people's job. And then then you have the warden there. So the warden is the top person. If there's anybody ought to be responsible, it ought to be the warden. The warden told them, hey, you go get this. My understanding, I wasn't standing there, but my understanding. And the delay was the warden was the delay. But they end up firing this guy. We win that case. But see, so I'm almost convinced they keep appealing. They keep ignoring. They thumb their nose at the court. And the court actually on that said, hire this person back immediately and put it in bold, I think. That's getting, when the court has to do that, that's sending a message out of really, wow. But I honestly think, Cecil, that they're trying to appeal all this to break OCP, because we've seen the cost go, I mean, astronomically back up, but we're dealing with it and we're going to deal with it and that's who we are. We're going to protect the membership. So if you're out there and you're not a member, guess what? You better join. You ought to join, because when they fire you, you have some help. You can't wait until they fire you and then try to join. We can't represent you. But if you'll join right now, then we can help represent you and want to help represent you if you were done wrong. Now, you can't, we don't want to represent people who did what they said they, you know what I'm saying? If you did wrong, we can't help you,
And I think that speaks volumes just in the two things. If you look at OCP as an organization and you look at DOC as an organization, DOC's great, big, huge, got lots of money. They're doing what they want. OCP is the voice of the people. We're the little guys. We're the ones that operate on dues. We don't have the government funded money to go out and operate on. Right. So we as the people are, fighting this extraordinary fight. We have a lawyer that's being our lawyer, and he's doing a lot of this on his own right now, if I understand right, because he's even said to the people that he's representing, if OCP goes under because of the actions of Scott and the current or the former board, that he's going to continue to represent these people.
See those cases through that he's got,
absolutely.
Yeah. And that shows a lot. Hey, we've got a lot of good people, man. We got a lot of good people, and we can't let a few people that have tried to ruin this. And it seems intentional. Again, we say seems, appears, and it does, but we base that on things like the text message that we're talking about, things like taking down OCP, things like not doing proper minutes, things like not having proper meetings, things like, we had this lawyer that we're talking about, and let me just say this, Cecil, I think you'll agree. When the media reaches out to our attorney to talk about how many cases he's won, to do a news story on how the department is firing so many people and he's won, and how they won't put them back to work and what they're trying to do to break us. That's pretty volumes. And again, it says such a great thing for OCP. And Scott did not want to air that. He would not put that on Facebook Live. He would not put that on anything. So again, why would you not? It might make the director look bad. No, it not might make him look bad. It is going to make him look bad. But again, we're not. He did that. We didn't go out of our way to try to do that. The media came to us. The media wants to know, and the media is reporting a true story. The truth is the truth. And again, we don't have to be mean and nasty with it. We just need to get it out there. And I could be a little less mean and nasty myself, but I will tell you this, Cecil, they've been pretty mean to me too.
And yes, I'm aware of a few things that have happened, and I agree. I don't agree with Mr. Harp putting his big town hall meetings together and disrespecting our members. I don't agree with him sitting in graduation classes and by name disrespecting you or Bobby Cleveland or any of the members of OCP. I don't agree with him trying to bully people and state that OCP members are this, that, or the other, just trying to keep people from having a voice and becoming members. If you're a good leader and you're aware of what's going on, the reasons that you're using force and fear is because you're not a good leader, in my opinion, because a good leader is not going to have to resort to those tactics. A good leader leads by example. They put stuff out there regardless of what happens, and if they're wrong, they say they're wrong. Just like you and I having a conversation. I'm sorry about my hand. Getting a little wound up. My people, my friends, my brotherhood, they're still in there behind the fence, and they're having to work for an executive staff that doesn't appear to have their best interest at heart.
They don't appear to have their back. No.
Right. And I think if, and other than what you said about, your opinions, I think if Director Harp were to make an effort to try to come forward and work with OCP, we're not going down. We're not laying down. We're not going to let this die. He needs to work with us. He needs to be able to sit down in a room with us, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether we come to an agreement or not. We have to have a voice for the people, and back full circle, you got retirees who aren't afraid of the gavel, and I don't like what you're saying, you're fired. You can't just fire somebody when you don't have that type of power over them, and that's what the power of retirees, I think, brings to the board.
Oh, I 1,000% agree. And I will tell you this, Cecil, is if he would have worked with Bob and he would have worked with me, he would be 100%. I mean, again, I don't know that they're doing things I totally disagree with, and I would have called him on it, but I would have done it in more. The way it is right now, I have no open communication with him, and so everything, you know what, I'm going to the media. I'm going out public on everything, and a lot of stuff that we might could have handled informally, and I think would have been better handled informally. But again, the things that I've tried, Cecil, the shower deal, people go, well, why didn't you try to work? I sent him the rate deal. Guess what? He was the first one got the big package and refused to do anything and claims it's not happening. Well, when you have a 6-hour hearing and you show and then claim, oh, well, we brought evidence, we showed evidence. They didn't do anything. They wouldn't even bring the witness. The witness they did bring that I asked sat down and said, I refuse to tell you. So here's a bureaucracy of unelected people will say, I refuse. I've asked to get his, so he got a $90,000 raise. He claims that he brought that over from OMS. I looked up the law. I had lawyers look. I can't find it. I don't think legally you can do it. I'm pretty certain you can't. I had lawyers look. There's 3 ways he can get a raise. It is through the legislator, through the board, or through the governor. I looked, and the legislator didn't give it. That leaves the board or the governor. I've asked multiple occasions to say, would you please send that verification over? Because otherwise you are embezzling money. Now, as a legislator, I think it's my job to say this is what's legal. Unlike Scott, I will tell you, one, informally, I've done it 2 or 3 times informally, and then I will tell you, here's the law, here's what the law says, here's the section of the law, here's the section of the law, and I've done that. I've laid out, here's the 3 sections of the law, here's what they said, had lawyers look it up, not J.J. Humphrey, got second opinions with lawyers, and again, he refuses to acknowledge these things. Well, then what choice do you have? And again, I realize I could probably have a different personality. There's where I get, because I almost kind of, I like a good fight. I will tell you the truth, Cecil. I don't mind a good fight, but I shouldn't, as we said, and again, when I admit my faults and I can admit where I'm at, he should do the same. And, it's insane. I think we lost him again. Somebody called him probably. Hey, Cecil, and I know you. Try to fire. They went into governor's office and they asked for the firing of Stephen Hart. Were you aware that happened this week?
I was not.
Yeah, it was quite. I don't believe in the history of. You've been around since the '90s. I've been around since the '80s. I started in about '89 there, and I did an internship in '89. Went to work right in '90. Come right inside the '90. Started right early '90, and then worked till 2010 or so. But I don't recall any time that family members gathered at the Capitol to request a director's firing. And again, what we're seeing in the penitentiary, the deal at Lawton, the thing, and I want to kind of come back to this, what we saw at the Lark with the deputy warden. And here's the deal, Cecil. What bothers me, we were talking a while ago about the lady that ate pizza, about the guy who got fired because he didn't respond quick enough. This lady that they fired because they said she talked to people roughly, or, for all of these reasons. Well, here you got a deputy warden that's allowing a person, it appears, and you can go and read all this stuff. It's in the reporters and stuff in the news, but it appears like a person was fired from the department for having inappropriate relations or something like that with inmates. So they're fired. Well, how do you have that and not have charges filed on you and things? So we need to look at the case, but it looks hinky.
Yes.
Then correct me if I'm wrong, if you fire that individual for such actions, should they be on the prison property at all? For any legal reason, they probably shouldn't be on prison property. But instead, this person is in the house of the deputy warden, OD'd, is my understanding. So overdosed at the warden's house. Here's all of this drug, and it appears that they now know that she was packing stuff in. It sounds like, again, I don't know all the details. Don't want to act like, hey, I've got 100% of the details. But it appears like she was involved. Now, what I did, I talked to a former high-ranking employee that was recently there, and that employee disclosed to me like they knew and had turned in. They were getting stitch papers and all kinds of stuff that this woman was having inappropriate relationships, that she was bringing in contraband, that kind of thing. And these people were told, hey, you're going to get along with her or you're going to leave. Now, this is what I don't understand. You have an employee like this that you see doing all this stuff and you getting told all this, and you'll say, we're going to keep her and you better get along with her or you're gone. But an employee who would be probably a pretty decent employee, it looks like, because they didn't have anything else on them, pizza. Nope, we'll fire that person. And we will not hire her back when they tell us to.
Unfortunately, I think this may have a bit of nepotism tied to it.
Oh, I'm sure. And again, there's all kinds. If you want to get to the backstory, we could start telling some real. If you wanted to say who's doing who and who's all that kind of stuff, and who's kin to who and all those kind of stuff. There's a lot of rumors flying around. And again, we're not going to, we try not to use people's names, and we try to always say that, hey, we may not have the full story because DOC sure not going to give it to you. And I will tell you, Cecil, I don't trust anything that they say. I'll give you a good example of that, Cecil. The other day they come out and said, I read an article, a national article that said Oklahoma is the worst in the nation for officer to inmate ratio. And in reading that, I forget whether it's 5 to 6 officers, which I can't believe any place else would have less than that.
It's low.
That whole article, I was like, because they were saying others were 4 to 1, and I'm like, bull crap. Everybody's lying, But here's the deal. DOC come out and said 1 to 15. And so I'd asked to get the rosters for several prisons, 4 prisons, and they would not give it to me. I tried to subpoena it, and our people won't cooperate with me to get a subpoena. But I managed to lay my hands on some of those, and I can tell you I'm going to have somebody else come in, either you, an ex-warden, Lemons, or somebody, and look at those and make sure I'm reading them right. I'm pretty certain I know how to read them. But I want to get a second, third opinion before I come out and say, but I can tell you based on what I see, it's more like 1 to 130, 100, I think up to 170 on some of those days. If that, is
at the
correct.
facility level, just based on a housing unit, I'll tell you my experience at Joe Hart. There's 5 housing units. Each one of them have approximately 160 inmates, and there's 1 officer to each one of those units daily.
Right.
Now that's just those units. Now there's bigger units. There's some units that have 200 inmates, 260 inmates to 1 officer. But like Joe Harp has an ADA unit, Americans with Disabilities Act, geriatric, if you will. 200 and some inmates per 1 officer. So I don't know where they get their numbers. I know several years ago, I think it was about 10, 12 years ago, when I myself was at the state capitol. I believe the YouTube video is still up, where we were talking about situations being bad, and when the troopers got a big raise, we asked for a raise to be tied with DOC as well. And even though it was terminated at that point as well due to certain oversights and things that weren't being done at the executive level, I believe they said that our national average, or our average then, was 11 to 1, and that was the worst in the nation.
Right. Well, here's the deal: we're worst in the nation. Everybody agrees that's a place we don't want to be. And again, they can't seem to get it down to hire people. People don't want to come to work. I do want to say, and Cecil, I think you would agree with me. I figure he's getting called again.
I am.
But Cecil, I think you would agree with me that is going to be a nationwide problem. It's not just Oklahoma problem. It's a nationwide problem. It just seems to be greater here. And again, I think our administration has a lot to do with that, trying to operate in fear and intimidation, and trying to have a culture of you're going to do what we say, or you're going to be gone, and we will ruin your life if you try to buck us. And so again, we've got a lot of issues. We're going to see if he can come back on and join us.
I'm here.
hand in hand together. Cecil, I was talking about the way OCP should work is that it should be an asset to the administration.
Absolutely.
It should be that we have membership, that we can start a legislative, where we can have dinners for legislators, we can donate to legislators, we can have a very powerful association, and then that we could work together and sit down and say, hey, DLC, what legislation would you want to get? We would work together to get that legislation to improve the conditions. That's the way it could work. And again, we could work together to set up something when we have an employee that needs to be disciplined, where we sit down and mediate that discipline. Again, here's the deal. I think you'll agree with this, Cecil. There's going to be bad employees. Some of the OCP members are going to be bad employees. We do not want to advocate for bad behavior, and we want to step in, but we want to make sure that we've done everything we can properly to change the behavior, make a better employee out of that person, and not just immediately jump to firing the person. And so again, that's the way this thing should work, could work, would make it so much better. But one of the things that we were talking about is the shortage of officers, and that's what's behind all of the problems. I think the biggest problem is them denying, and let me see, I don't know if you heard this a while ago, Cecil, but if you're down there working 160, 200 pod, and you have your administration come out and publicly say it's 1 to 15, that's a slap in the face. That makes people angry. Would you not agree?
I do agree.
And again, it's ridiculous for them to do that. And I don't know, why would you do that, Cecil? Because for me, I would be out there saying we have 1 to 60, we need more money, or we need more help, we need something, something's got to change. I would be out there advocating in that way instead of lying.
Unfortunately, I think that has to do with every bit of him not being educated enough in what he's doing. He's the director. He should be out, boots on the ground. He should see what every facility's like. He should be out there. He should know what's going on. We should have representatives to be able to come out and see what's going on. Like you're saying, the openness and the willingness to let people come in and see what's going on. The Department of Corrections is already, the mistress that lives in the night. Nobody wants to know about it. Nobody cares about it. It's out of sight, out of mind. Everything happens on the back with corrections. The director should be very well aware of what's going on. I think
Cecil, I think, and again, I know they've tried to do things to hire people. They go into college, try to recruit, they run ads or whatever. They got posters up. But here's the problem. When you're on the news every night with the kind of issues that we're talking about, people don't want to go to work there. When you have your pay down, why would I want to go to work there? It used to, the pay was kind of comparable and the hours and things, and it was a good job. I mean, when I went to work, you had to fight to get a job there. You know what I'm saying? Then what happened, you start seeing all these law enforcement, pay raise. You see less training over here. You see things start to go down, and no raises. And all of a sudden, there's this, separation from we're down here at was 30-something. We got a $43 million raise. Again, that's something OCP can take full credit for, working with me. And anyways, we get that raise, and it brings us up, still not comparable with some of the law enforcement that we're talking about. And again, 1, the pay, 2, the conditions, 3, the treatment. And for these people who do hire on, a lot of them quit pretty quickly because they find out, oh, hey, what's it like to walk down there with 160 people and you be the only person, and what would happen. And again, some of these prisons have totally lost control with the inmates running the show, and it is spooky places. And when you go talk to these employees, they will tell you, hey, we've lost control, and it is a spooky place. And so, again, I think that's what we're seeing. So you're going to have a true culture change to get back to the place that we need to get. And I think that we can get there. I think we will get there. I seriously, and I know you got different opinion, and I always respect your opinion, but I don't think that we will get there under the current administration. I think we're going to have to see another administration. One thing I do want to we got about 10 more minutes, I think, kind of wrap up on is that I will tell you, I'm getting more and more frustrated, and I don't mind being attacked. I kind of enjoy being attacked, tell you the truth, Cecil. But some of the statements, Cecil, I don't know if you saw, Kay Thompson puts out, so when they bust the deputy warden, she comes out her statement, and I don't want to misquote it, and I'm doing it from memory, but she makes some statements like, we've initiated new technology and we've started new programs with the OIG to reduce the amount of drugs coming into the institution and make sure that we address all of these issues. And it's not worded exactly like that, but that's kind of the gist of it. And I'm just going, who would ever have your deputy warden busted in such a scandal and come out and try to turn that around like, oh, we're doing a wonderful, great job. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, did you really? I could make a stand-up comedy routine with the things that she says. I'm just like, are you serious that you're going to say that when you have? Cecil, I told somebody the other day, let's see if you think I'm right. I said, I'd like to take all of the overdoses from the year and a half that Harp's been here as director and add them up and then compare them to the entire rest of DLC history from the beginning till right now. And I would throw $100 up there on a bet. And I'm a pretty conservative person, don't like to lose $100, but I'd bet $100 to a donut that it would be pretty close, if not more. I think it'd be more on the Harp side than on the entire rest of the history of the Department of Corrections. What do you think?
I wouldn't put money against you.
It's insane.
And it's not just, and this is the only point I'll disagree with you a little bit. I don't think it's just heart. I think it's staffing, it's education, it's experience. Because when in 2012 we had a huge influx of drugs, contraband coming over the fence, it was very difficult to get on track of some of that stuff. And I'm not sure that it's all over with.
No, and here's the deal, Cecil. I 1,000% agree with that statement. It's never one. I mean, Harp is the director. You got a lot of people up there with institutional knowledge that should be able to stand up and say, "Hey, we're doing things wrong. We need to do this."
Who's up there with institutional knowledge, JJ? I'm curious.
What's that?
Who's up there with the director?
Here's the deal. I'll tell you who. You got wardens at these facilities that will have institutional knowledge. There's several of them. Less knowledge than the ones that we've had in the past. I will give you that. But there's plenty of people there that have that kind of. I can name some names of people, and they will not stand up to say, "Hey, we're not going to do this." But and here's the reason: if they do stand up and say that, guess what's going to happen?
Right, and I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about at the level
top management. Top management, they've got some people. I don't agree with some people up there. I'm not going to name a name, but their third highest person up there has a lot of institutional knowledge. I mean, they are very, very sharp on what's going on in the institutions and things like that. I have a massive disagreement on how they conduct themselves and how they do business, but I won't say they don't have institutional knowledge. Their third highest person, I will guarantee you, does have and has worked in prisons for the last 30 plus years and has been at every position in prisons. And I would say they have much more institutional, as you do, have much more institutional. Now, if you want to say corrections knowledge, when it comes to community corrections, prisons, drug court, jails, the whole 9 yards, I'll compare me to anybody. But when you're saying actual institutional knowledge, I would take my hat off to you and people like Lemons. But I would also say this person has it. And again, what's going? Why are they not standing up and saying, "Hey, these things got to be fixed"? They've drank the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? They drank the Kool-Aid.
I was going to say, I think I know who we're talking about, and unfortunately, I think as far as knowledge versus their ethics and attitude based on their position, it's not going the right direction.
Well, and that's the problem, and that's the deal. It's the culture of what you're setting. You're in leadership. You set the culture, and guess what? These are the things happening. You don't have to take my word for it. You can cuss me, threaten me, do whatever you want. I feel like it's all been done. But the thing about it is, how about results? Where are you at? How many people have been stabbed under your administration? How many people have been raped under your administration? How many people are currently being extorted? Are you gaining employees? Are you losing employees? Are the more, run a survey and see morale. Where's your morale at? What's going on in your institutions? And again, to come out and try to spin that, Kay comes out and says, we've got 15-1, but we have to manipulate the numbers to get funding from legislators. That's a great way to say we lie to legislators to get money. I mean, that's code for we lie to get money. The other day, I come out and called the incident at Lawton. Yeah, having a little problem. But I come out and called the incident at Lawton a mini riot or precursor to a riot. She come out and just lambasted come out and said, well, you don't have, J.J. Humphrey has no institutional knowledge. Now, here's a person that has zero institutional knowledge. I have quite a bit of correctional experience, I will say. And again, here's what's funny. They called it a group disruptance. Group disruptance, me getting kicked out of the school board meeting, that's a disruption. When 30 people are injured, 2 dead, possibly 3 dead, that's more than a disruptance. Let me ask you, Cecil, they come in and they said that they had human error. The door got popped on human error. We have a report saying that guy possibly got paid to pop that door. Now, that's a rumor, but that's what you investigate on, is rumors, okay? Right. And so you had this gate get popped open. We have this massive disruption, group disruption, precursor to a riot is what I'd say, mini riot. But you have one person that I'm told is stabbed multiple times, as many as 100 times. The rest are superficial, so you have 2 people multiple times stabbed, superficial wounds to everybody else. What would you think that would speak to? Let's see if your opinion's like mine.
Well, before I say anything, I just want to say that I'm 100% in favor of accountability. And I think if that one person were to do something and it was their mistake, 100%, if they were to try to say that was human error, that wouldn't fly and that person would have lost their job. Yeah. If they're operating in a situation where that's what the agency has told them to do, now the agency has to cover their butt. Now it's human error. So now that I've said that, when you've got policies and procedures in place and you've got lack of experience, it very well could have been a situation where I don't know how long that person had been employed there. I don't know if it was an accident, but absolutely it was a bad idea. And whether or not they go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying, it looks like to me, and this is just me speculating, this is just me thinking. When you see a person stabbed that many times, that person is the intentional victim, okay?
Absolutely.
That person is, so you see 2 stabbed, but everybody else is stabbed, or superficial wounds, but these 2 are stabbed multiple times. Then again, for me, I would be looking at, was this a disruption caused on purpose to actually carry out a hit, or did somebody have a vendetta where they just hated and here's their opportunity? Yeah, there's some scenarios you can run through, but I will tell you, with the rumors the guy got paid, with the human error that seems to be like, how the hell did that happen? And then the guy getting stabbed, or 2 guys getting stabbed multiple times, I'm going to put together that I would be looking into a hit. Now, here's what's funny to me. Me and you can discuss this, and again, every point that you were making are valid and points they got to look at. But here's the deal: she comes out and makes all these statements, and she ain't even got a clue and can't even have. She can't even be in the conversation me and you are having because she don't know anything about what we're talking about. Nothing. Right. What we're talking about, and then she's gonna come and lecture me about how JJ has no institutional knowledge and does not know the proper meaning of a right. I laughed. I Googled up right and sent it to her. I was like, hey, Google agrees with me, by the way.
Yeah.
I just laughed. She says, hey, let me tell you something. She says stuff that makes JJ Humphrey look like a genius, okay? So that's hard to do. That's really tough to do. And anyways, I know I was reading something that you were talking about the other day where, if everybody quits. How did you word that? I don't know if you'll remember. You put out something on a text where they were claiming something, and you turned around and said, well, if everybody quits, you can't claim whatever number they were claiming. They were claiming some number.
I don't remember, JJ.
Yeah, I had to go pull it up. But you'd written something that made a whole lot of sense, and she had made one of these statements that just, off the wall.
I apologize for. Yeah, I don't remember what we're talking or what I said on that deal.
Right. Well, hey, Cecil, I think we're going to probably call it a wrap. One thing I want to say is that we appreciate all the work that Bobby Cleveland does. We appreciate all the work that Matt does for us. Bob, I hope you listen. Hope you take another painkiller, and hope you get feeling better. But get up and walk, Bob. You don't sit around and get stiff all day. You got to suck up the pain. Quit being a sister. Get up and start walking. And we hopefully have Bob back on here. Hopefully we'll have Cecil back. Guys, we're going to do some things. Cecil, I said we was going to wrap, but I do want to say this one thing that you can agree with me on what we've discussed. It's not only having these meetings like we talked about earlier, but we're talking about trying to set up a Zoom meeting or some other kind of meeting where we have
membership.
Group. Yeah, so we have this group deal to where people in McAllister, people in Ferris, and out here where I'm at that can't drive 2.5 hours every time or that are on shift, that we also have ways. We're talking about even making a way where people who are on shift that we might even extend the vote for a day or something so that you can get off shift and you can participate. But we're talking about ways to get your participation to where it's not a few people doing this. It's the whole membership that actually has input, that we can actually see you like we're doing today. We can get in there. We're going to have meetings. We're talking about doing some meetings where we can have a more relationship, cook some hamburgers, do something like that, where it's more informal. But then when we do have the meeting, that we include everybody on that meeting. And so we are doing things to change the whole look of this and make it a much more inviting, a much more professional, and much more successful. Would you not agree on that, Cecil?
I would. The memberships are everything, and we need more membership, and they need the ability to see what's going on, not just some dark room meeting with the director, not telling anybody what's going on.
I agree 100%. Cecil, you got anything that we left out? You got anything you'd like to say?
No, I think you hit everything, JJ.
Awesome.
I think we did what we needed to do.
Cool. I do appreciate you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your service that you did, and I appreciate you continuing to look out for the good of the department, the good of the employees. I appreciate